Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, as you see before you, all right, this is from history, and it says the untold story of Darius the First and the greatest lie in history. But first and foremost, I want to give all praise, Kal Halo Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Dash. Once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, who deserve double honors. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim out there on the highways and byways across the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth, all honesty and sincerity. Alright, trying to wake up the remaining hopefully elect. This is Naaman with the DC camp. Yes, what I just read, although not even close when it comes to the greatest lie in history. Alright, but a big lie nonetheless. This has to do with Darius the First, alright, also known as Darius the Great, was one of the most powerful rulers of the Achaemenid Empire, which stretched from the Mediterranean to the Indus River. He is remembered as a skilled administrator and a conqueror of lands, but the untold story of Darius the First involves the greatest lie in history. Here we go. A falsehood that has persisted for centuries. And that's why I said what I said, because the greatest lie, of course, would be, of course, with Yahushua and his identity, because the world really thinks that he looks like an Edomite. Second of that, it's got to be who we are, and of course, everyone's trying to keep Psalms 83. Everyone's trying to keep us, all right, from regaining our identity. But nonetheless, let's keep going with this. It says the lie in question involves Darius the First's supposed defeat at the hands of the Greeks at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC. I know you know. This is the battle that preceded, or the great one. There were many skirmishes in between. But this preceded by about 10 years the Battle of Thermopylae and hence the famous film 300. All right, Leonidas and all that. All right, but this is roughly 10 years before. Anyway, according to the popular narrative, Darius sent an army to invade Greece, but they were defeated by a much smaller force of Athenian soldiers. Alright, it says this event is often cited as a turning point in world history, with the Greek victory seen as a triumph of democracy and freedom over tyranny and oppression. In the spirit, you can already know who this is talking about. Alright. This is what they do. Continuing on. However, the truth is far more complicated than this simplistic narrative suggests. In reality, Darius the First was a complex and capable leader, and the Battle of Marathon did not play out as it is commonly portrayed. The untold story of Darius the First and the greatest lie in history begins with the context leading up to the battle. You'll understand this is what most Edomites, so-called white people, this time frame where they say, well, the Greeks, you know, were the first to establish, you know, democracy and, you know, blah, yada, yada, you know, all that shit, you know. If you leave it up to them, the beginning of everything started with them. Darius the First inherited an empire that was in a state of unrest, with rebellions and uprisings threatening to destabilize the Achaemenid Empire. To quell these rebellions, Darius launched a series of military campaigns, including an invasion of Greece. However, Darius did not see this invasion as an act of aggression, but rather as a necessary step to bring Greece under his rule and establish peace and stability in the region. And it's for a certain reason, because, as it's going to explain, I'm not going to jump ahead of myself. He says, you got to understand, this is 490 BC. So this is roughly 100. About 140 years, give or take, before Alexander the Great was born, came on the scene. Somewhere in that time period, 130, 140 years. All right. So, yeah. Anyway, it says the battle that followed was not the one-sided affair. Wait, I skipped ahead. I'm sorry. It says, at the time of the invasion, Greece was not a unified state, but rather a collection of city-states. And that's true. I remember that from history I learned. With their own governments and armies. One of these city-states was Athens, which was a democratic society that had grown in power and influence in the years leading up to the invasion. When Darius' army arrived in Greece, Athens sent a small force of soldiers to confront them, led by the legendary general Miltiades. The battle that followed was not the one-sided affair that is often portrayed in popular history. In reality, the Persian army was larger and better equipped than the Athenian force, and the two sides were evenly matched in terms of skill and strategy. The battle was a brutal and bloody affair, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. In the end, the Athenians emerged victorious, but not without a great cost. All right. But, despite their victory, the Athenians were not able to repel the Persian invasion entirely. Darius I continued to wage war against Greece, and it was only several years later, in 480 BC, that his son Xerxes finally launched a massive invasion of Greece that was repelled by the famous Battle of Thermopylae and the naval battle of Salamis. So why has the lie of Darius' defeat at Marathon persisted for so long? One reason is the power of propaganda. And these same people still use that. I hope you're picking up on these clues. Alright? That's why I said what I said earlier. Alright? Just letting you know this is why certain books in the Bible were taken out. Because the one in particular here is First Maccabees. So let's get that real quick. Let's go to First Maccabees. Alright. Let's see. Let's go to First Maccabees 1 and 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip of Macedonia, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Alright, there's a big gap there. Alright. 2, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. Because what? Prophecy had to be fulfilled. And went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So you had, after this, you had Seleucus. Alright, then you have Lysimachus. Alright, and then Ptolemy. Alright, and then Cassandra. Alright, those are the 4. So, when we go back here, alright, and these were, you got to understand, the majority of Edomites that ruled, this is something they don't like to talk about, but these were some cutthroat, I mean within their own families, these were some cutthroat bastards, I tell you. They went for the Greeks, they went for the Romans, they went to, it's just these people, even the Khazars, you know, It's telling you who these people are. Whew. Anyway, back to the story. Alright. It goes on to say again, I'll read it again. So, why has the lie of Darius' defeat at Marathon persisted so long? One reason is the power of propaganda. So let's look up propaganda real quick. Alright, got it already served up for you. Propaganda. And it's fitting, but I'll get to that later. The first one, it goes into the Roman Catholic Church. Let's start at 2. The spreading of ideas. Again, you're dealing with the same people, whether they call themselves Catholic. You understand that false prophet, but that's a whole nother video. Number 2, the spreading of ideas, information, of rumor, for the purpose of helping or injuring an institution, a cause, or a person. 3, ideas, facts, or allegations spread deliberately to further one's cause or to damage an opposing cause. Alright, and over the years, they say it's changed. Alright, it says propaganda is today, goes into the history of propaganda. Propaganda is today most often used in reference to political statements. But the word comes to our language through its use in a religious context. The Congregación de Propaganda, Congregation for Propagating the Faith, was an organization established in 1622. So we're talking about the Renaissance. This is when these pieces of shit came back into power, alright, by Pope Gregory XV, as a means of furthering Catholic missionary activity, spreading their lies. Noah Webster called them out on this. Yes, that Webster, as in Webster's dictionary. And he did not hold his tongue when he talked about how deceitful and cunning the Jesuits were. And then, of course, later on, they ended up buying him out. And, of course, the definition changed. So, again, you get these little clues. Who are we talking about? You got certain characteristics. Alright? It says the word propaganda is from the ablative singular feminine of propagandus, which is the gerundive of the Latin propagare, meaning to propagate. The first use of the word propaganda without the rest of the Latin title in English was in reference to this Catholic organization. It was not until the beginning of the 19th century that it began to be used as a term denoting ideas or information that are of questionable accuracy as a means of advancing a cause. So you got a little newspeak here. But the bottom line is, it's a lie. Alright? Remember what it says in the scriptures about the tongue. Alright? Although it be, well, let's get it. I don't want to butcher it. Alrighty. Let's see. Alright, let's see. I want James. I was hoping not to have to go into because I had something. Oh well. We'll come back to that. Alright, ugly mug. Let's see. James. Oops. Went a little too far. Alright. James. Here it is. James 3 and 5. Wait a minute, hold on. How did that happen? Salaki. Here we go. Let's start up a little bit more. Let's see. I'll start at the top. This is taming the tongue. Alright? This is my brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive a greater condemnation. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in word, the same is a perfect man, and able also to bridle the whole body. Now, this goes without saying. We slip up sometimes, but this, what I'm talking about, is intentional. All right, as what the story is going into, this was done deliberately, you know, and it still goes on today. All right. Behold, we put bits in the horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn about their whole body. Behold, also as the ships, which though they be so great and are driven of fierce winds, yet are they turned about with a very small helm, whithersoever the governor listeth. Even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. With the mouth, you can start a whole lot of shit with little effort. All right. And to try to make it right. 6. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. And setteth on fire the course of nature. Wow. Wow. So let's go back to the article. So this is what these, so you got to understand, not only was he granted as a blessing of a sword, but also he is really deceitful. In fact, let's get that real quick while it's on my mind. Let's go to Psalms 43 and 1. All right, and it says, send out your light and your truth. Psalms 43 and 1. Judge me, O Most High Yahweh, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation who we've been dealing with, the so-called white man, whose nationality in the scriptures is Edom. Out of woman in Hebrew, which means red. They're not white. There's nothing about them that is white. All right. Neither are we black. It's a fucking insult. What they're actually telling us is that we're wicked and they're the righteous. Simply put. All right. Judge me, O Most High Yahweh, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. This is what he's created to be, the wicked. Malachi 1st chapter, verses 1, the point is in 4. All right, this is something we've been dealing with for a very, very long time. All right. We, being blessed, are able to see, hey, this devil's time is short. He's hurrying up, jumping through his own asshole, trying to establish this new world order. Trying to get those that he can, get them sealed. All right, you know, that same mark, that mark of exemption is what we seek for. But he, on the other hand, Exodus 21st chapter, what the Most High does through the Spirit in that mark in Ezekiel. Let's get it. This devil has to do carnally. All right, so let's see. A mark, Strong's H8420, Thawah. By implication, a signature. This is spiritual. What is he going to try to do? Do it physical. And once you take that thing, that C-hip, all right, that's it. That's it. Better read Revelation 14 and 9. All right. So, let's go back. It says, another reason is the influence of ancient Greek historians who tended to portray the Persians as barbaric and uncivilized. These historians, including Herodotus, often exaggerated the size and power of the Persian army. And if you've ever seen the statue, the one that they keep in the basement of the London Museum, or the Museum of London, that's a Jake. Alright. It says they often exaggerate the size and power of the Persian army, painting them as an overwhelming force that was defeated by the bravery and ingenuity of the Greeks. And that's going to this so-called white man. He has a, what's that fancy word they use? Let me see if I can, hold on. It'll come to me. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, now I remember. A pathological. It says of or relating to pathology, relating to cause of disease, of relating to manifesting behavior that is habitual, maladaptive, and compulsive. All right, let's go into that. Let's see, dictionary.com. He has this overwhelming need to portray himself as the good guy, always. Alright? Putting on this, let's see, let's go to Collins. Go to Free Dictionary. You know, he's got to portray himself as the hero. You know where I'm going with this. Alright. Yeah, I already read that. Maladaptive, compulsive, psychiatry, informal, compulsively motivated. Alright. Let's see. And that's why I said earlier about black and white. Alright? And much of his portrayal of Jake as always the criminal. That's another psychological, and I'm no expert, this is just something I know. I'm not pretending to be, I'm just a layman in that regard. But this is part of that common sense thing, alright? Don't need all that. But he, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, there was another word. Oh, it's called projection. Alright, let's look that up. This is what this devil does a lot. Alright. Alright, hold on. And Jake is often the victim. Oh, projection. Alright. Let's go to Psychology Today. What the hell just happened? I know I hit. What the hell did it? Salakia, alright, Psychology Today. Okay. Projection is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person, animal, or object. The term is most commonly used to describe defensive projection, which this devil, this is what he does, attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. For example, if someone continuously bullies and ridicules a peer about his insecurities, the bully might be projecting his own struggle with self-esteem onto the other person. No, these pieces of shit, these so-called white people, are actually pieces of shit. But you gotta understand, let's look at the last 60 to 70 years, so-called civil rights. The world saw this devil for what he really was and how he was treating us. It went worldwide on the TV. Alright? So what do you think he did? All the time since then, and I had a black and white video. I never did, make a video on it. I saved it somewhere. But this Edomite was saying they learned their lesson. Guess what do you think they learned? We made them look like the devil that they actually are. So what do you think their response to that was? No, we can't have this, because they were still, you gotta understand, this devil has enjoyed demigod status in this earth. Alright, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Alright? So that hurt his image. So what he had to do, no, we gotta make them look at these people, meaning Jake, as something that should be beat, something that dogs should be sick dog, fire hoses should be shot down in the streets. And ever since that time period on up to even to this day, that has happened. Although in the last 10 or so years, people have said, you know what? This motherfucker is wicked. Lies, propaganda. We're talking about the same people and the same victims. Us. Alright, so enough of the layman's psychology for today. Alright. Let's see. Continuing on. Furthermore, the legacy of Darius I extends far beyond this one battle. During his reign, he oversaw a vast expansion of the Achaemenid Empire, bringing stability and prosperity to many regions. He also implemented a series of administrative and economic reforms that helped to centralize the empire and make it more efficient. Darius I was also a patron of the arts, blah, 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 blah. He went into Zoroastrianism, blah, blah, blah. Alright, it says, despite these accomplishments, Darius I has been overshadowed by his more famous successors, such as Xerxes and Cyrus the Great. The lie of his defeat at Marathon has further contributed to his obscurity, painting him as a defeated and humiliated enemy of the Greeks, rather than the powerful and accomplished leader that he truly was. Again, this is what these devils do. Alright? This is what they do. Further pointing the finger at you Edomites, you so-called white people. This is what you do. This re-examination has led to a more nuanced understanding of Darius I's legacy and his role in world history. While the Battle of Marathon was undoubtedly a significant event, it was only one small part of a much larger and more complex story. By uncovering the truth behind the greatest lie in history, we go with that again, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the achievements of Darius I and the Achaemenid Empire, and for the complexity of the ancient world. This is why 2 Corinthians 10 and 4 is so relevant. Alright, because this is what we are here on the highways and byways doing to this devil today. 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. Alright, we don't need physical weapons. This is 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, alright, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds. 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach Yahweh. Alright? That's why we're out here on the highways and byways. This is why we're a threat. Now they have this thing where more propaganda. They got this team, including one Jake, that's supposed to be going to the moon now. More propaganda. We know damn well you can't get past the Van Allen. No living thing is going to be able to get past the Van Allen radiation belts. So miss me with that shit. That's, you know, but people are going to buy it. After all, this is about winning the hearts and minds of the simple. And as it says in Proverbs 1st, you know, what about the simple? So, that was a little history lesson for today. Again, the masters of lies and propaganda have been at it for a very, very long time. So, hey, once again, I hope whoever views this is edified. That's what we do here at Great Millstone. Again, filtering all these things, history, even current events through the scriptures. Alright? Letting you know this is a book, talking about the Holy Scriptures, that should be, you know, read. And if you have questions, ask these questions for people that can actually answer them. And if you haven't figured it out now, it's not your pastor that you go to every Sunday. Alright, he was set up to keep you basically fat, dumb, and stupid. So until the next video, hey, shalom.